If a patient cannot get access to the medicines they require to treat their health condition, it's a patient safety and welfare problem. EAHP is taking a lead in trying to draw the attention of European policymakers to the problem and to identify policy solutions. Medicine shortages are both a national and a European issue. They affect every country in Europe according to our survey, and the impacts and the factors are international in nature as well.
So we decided to do a survey over 2012-2013 to try and identify how widespread this problem was and which therapeutic areas it was affecting. 99% of all of those who responded said that those were affected by shortages over the last 12 months, a shocking number. Over 90% of those said that this was a weekly or a monthly occurrence, so we knew that this was not an issue that was going to go away. We did a second follow-up study to see the impact on patients, and this was in a little bit more detail. And this was an area that we wanted to continue on, and unfortunately affected generic medicines and patented medicines over wide therapeutic areas, but especially oncology, cardiovascular and emergency medicines.
So what's the community pharmacy perspective on medicine shortages? Firstly, this is a problem which isn't confined to a particular sector. We know that there are problems in hospitals, but there are also problems in community pharmacies. We know that the problem isn't confined to any particular part of Europe. It affects the richer countries in Europe and it affects the poorer countries in Europe. And it's not confined to any particular medicine group. Sometimes the debate assumes that particular more expensive medicines, for example, are in shortage. This isn't the case at all. Our research, and I think the research by the European Association of Hospital Pharmacists, shows that both expensive mid-priced medicines and relatively cheap medicines are in short supply all across Europe.
The main features are that drug shortages put patients at risk, and another main thing is that drug shortages put healthcare systems on extra costs, and therefore they are not just a trivial thing, they are a thing of importance to European healthcare systems.
We may have to change drug, so we may have to use an alternative drug. And for example, it was the case when we faced some drug shortage with liposomal doxorubicin. And we had to use this drug to replace this drug by doxorubicin that can be more harmful to the patient because this is a more cardiotoxic drug. So really drug shortages can impact the patient care. We may have less efficacy drugs or higher toxicity drugs.
Well, I know personally that it's a helpless situation to find yourself in, that you need to try and do your best to source the medication that you could have got yesterday, but unfortunately today you cannot. And you cannot understand why. You can't tell the patient why, and you have to recommend an alternative to the doctor. So I know it's an incredibly frustrating situation.
But I think the first factor is globalization. As you know, companies, manufacturers have now problems to get the right quality because there are only few raw materials manufacturers, and if they have a problem, they have no ingredient to make the medicine. And that is, of course, caused by globalization. The second point is, I think, pricing. Because we have different pricing in Europe and we have some problems in distribution. This will affect especially low price countries because manufacturer will sell more medicine in a high price country rather than in low country. And third, I think, is the just-in-time production of medicine. It's also a consequence of pricing to improve. We have to find out the balance between all the factors.
Most of the shortages in Portugal now are related with austerity, I must confess. pricing, austerity. But we have also shortages related to quality issues, difficulties on the chain supply. The globalization is also a problem for shortages. And I may say that I'm not wrong if I say that shortages affect original and generic drugs. They're no different between those kind of drugs.
How are medicine shortage impacting in relation to the care and treatment provided to cancer patients in Europe? Yes, the financial crisis struck hard on the European Union healthcare system, particularly those of East and the Southern European member states. We experience shortage of important anti-cancer drugs in countries like Greece, Romania, Poland, deeply affected by austerity measures. Cases of anti-cancer drugs have been reported also in countries like UK, demonstrating that drug shortage is a European problem. The healthcare-related effects are obvious. It is not acceptable that an European citizen cannot be provided with an excessive drug. This undermines patients' trust towards healthcare providers, government, and ultimately the European Union itself. A structured European Union-wide approach has to be designed which would equilibrate the situation, allowing the European citizen equitable access to key anti-cancer drugs.
The sort of policy actions that the European Association of Hospital Pharmacists would like to see undertaken on medicine shortages is we'd like to see better information available to health professionals on this. We'd like to see the European Medicines Agency develop a database more similar to that we see in America, for example. We'd also like to see more reporting in a structured way about the shortages situation in Europe. So we'd like to see an annual report provided by the European Medicines Agency into what can be done on the topic. Finally, we'd also like the Commission to take a leadership in two different ways. One, to conduct proper research into what really is causing shortages in medicines in Europe and what can we do to address that. And secondly, to provide a leadership in international dialogue. Many of these problems go beyond Europe alone.
More generally, what we need to do is improve this information flow problem, the situation where pharmacists are unaware why a medicine is in short supply, for how long, etc., etc., etc. This for us is completely unacceptable. In some member states now you're seeing information systems being put together which allow pharmacists to access through a website detailed information on the nature of the shortage, so that at least they can, for example, explain the situation to patients or find alternatives. And this is something we'd like to see developed across the European Union, even potentially in the future at European level.
Yes, from a clinician point of view, it is very important that we have to improve the communication and also the collaboration between the different stakeholders in this field. Thanks to the pharmacists at the moment in Germany, we have no serious drug shortages, but in the near future this can change very quickly, and therefore we have to establish registries, and the pharmaceutical companies have to inform these registries as soon as possible about potential drug shortages,